What's going on, guys? Welcome back to another Game Time Discussions. I'm Emery Cuzzy, and today I'm going to be flying solo. We're going to be talking about the all-floor team for the 2025 NFL Draft. Basically, just guys that are consistent college production players, probably day one contributors, and will most likely be guys that play for a long time in the league. They may never be like top 10 at their position, but you could see them, getting into the top 30 conversation at their position and being real like special players, but never just maybe never hitting that like I'm the best player at the position for the whole NFL. So yeah, let's get into it. Let me share my screen, and what we'll do is we'll start talking about all these guys. It's a super exciting group. Starting off, and you might notice there's a little bit of a trend. The Ohio State football team had a lot of these guys this year, including their quarterback and Will Howard that was one of the best at just being a game manager. He's the prototypical style of play that you want to see at the NFL level, size and everything that just kind of fits it. He was first in QBR for the season and the playoffs this last year. Finished the season extremely strong, especially in the playoffs. Had a 90 plus QBR in all four games. He's just a winner. And of course, he went 14 and 2 this year at Ohio State. He gets better when it matters, and I think that that's a very important trait of a guy. But I don't know that he has a insane ceiling by any means. But at the same time, when he comes to the NFL, you know what type of player you're getting. He's a lot safer than some of the other guys. Take Jalen Milroe, Quinn Ewers, these types of guys that have, maybe the higher upside, but not necessarily going to be the main guys, kind of like a Will Howard that can just like come in and be a QB2, learn, and possibly even play some as a QB1 at the next level. And then you have one of my favorite players in the whole draft, and I know Cam keeps this sentiment because Omari Hampton is an awesome football player. Second team AP All American, 138.3 yards per game, which is just insane after, talking about he played on a 6-6 North Carolina team. He had 26 15 plus yard runs. He had over 1,200 yards after contact, which is just an insane number, especially talking about him. He did get hit in the backfield pretty often. He had 10 games out of his 12 games this year at over 100 plus yards, and then 2 games this year also going over 200 plus yards. So he's just an absolute freak. We love him on this channel. We had him ranked much higher than the consensus was prior to the combine, and people are really, really driving him up. I've seen him multiple times to Dallas at 12. I think a lot of teams are going to really like him and what he brings to the table. He's basically good at everything, if not great at everything. And that's the fun part about him. He was our running back too, behind, Ashton Jeanty, but Ashton Jeanty also had a insane season this last year. So it's not that we're, downgrading what Omari Hampton was capable of doing, and we really like him as a football player. So he's an exciting football player for us, and we have him on this all floor team, but he could also shoot. He might even be able to be on the all ceiling team also. Next guy up is Jaden Higgins out of Iowa State. Third team All American this last year. He only had a 2.2% drop rate. He's got a really high end. He's really high end as a route runner for his size. He's alignment versatile. He played 138 snaps in the slot, 337 out wide. He's just going to be a really solid value on a consensus board because of all of the things that he brings to the table and where he will probably, and I've seen him even higher on most rankings because of the fact that he just brings so much as a floor player. Right now he's at 53 on the consensus board. So I think if you get him in the mid-second round, that's fine. But I actually expect him to go later because I think teams will be buying the hype on some of the other players in this draft, which we'll talk about in our all ceilings video, which will come out after this one. But so Jaden Higgins has the floor to be a really good player, and for his size, his style at the X position, I think that kind of combination makes him a really good candidate for the all floor team. Next guy up, I think, is everybody's all floor player. I think he kind of just stays talked about for this type of ranking. Emeka Ibuka out of Ohio State. Like I said, Ohio State has a bunch of players on here. He's just the perfect high-end wide receiver too for an offense. He played next to Marvin Harrison Jr. He played next to Jeremiah Smith. He's just the best number two I've seen, working with number ones, true number ones that are going to be NFL guys for a long time. And the things that come with that are he's a good safety blanket. He's a great route runner, absolute phenomenal route runner. He's a great blocker, which is something that is underrated for a lot of these guys at the wide receivers position. I think he's an amazing blocker, and that really helps him, stay on the field. And I mean, he's just a good football player, and he makes a lot of things work for an offense. And that's why I think he's going to be like the pinnacle of these types of rankings for all floor players. He's going to be a day one contributor at the NFL level, and I'd expect him to go in the late first to early second round. And you're getting a guy that's going to help your team right now. So that's the type of player we like to see on this list. He's like, if you want to talk about who encapsulates this list, it's him. Next guy up is Mason Taylor, another safety blanket. He's kind of good at everything, not necessarily great at anything, and he's kind of lacks some of the athleticism you won't want for an insane upside type of player. But his route running's great. His blocking has significantly improved. He has very soft hands at a 1.8% drop rate, which makes him, a guy that makes sure he catches the ball, finds soft spots in the zone. He's just such an intelligent player that it makes it really easy to want to get behind him. Also, his dad being a Jason Taylor, a longtime edge rusher for the Dolphins, like he has the pedigree, he has all the things, and that makes him like a pretty comfortable player to get in the second round and be like, this guy at least is going to be a very serviceable tight end, one, two early, and then tight end one as he goes through his career. So he's a very easy player to also put on this list. I think he's a super solid football player, and he could end up being one of the better tight ends in this class. Just lacks some of that athleticism that you might get with some of the upside players that we'll talk about. And then Donovan Jackson out of Ohio State, another guy at Ohio State. Day one pro ready guard, in my opinion. He played offensive tackle and got some really great reps at blocking in space because of course, Josh Simmons had his injury where he was out after week 6 against the Oregon is when he got injured. He just with Jackson, he's just a very high end athlete, which makes it really easy to see his movement skills. And then being able to shift from guard to tackle is such a big deal to me personally because going in from the outside is a lot easier than going out from the inside. And he did it. Of course, he had some slip ups. I mean, Penn State game was tough, but as he got progressed through the year, he got a lot better. He might be the MVP of the Ohio State season just because he was able to go out there and play left tackle, give some stability to Will Howard. And I think that was a really important thing. He's super scheme versatile playing guard. And I don't think it matters if he plays in a gap scheme, an outside zone scheme, downhill running scheme. It does not matter. I think he can do it all. And then, of course, he has the pedigree as a pass blocker. So he's a very comfortable player on this list just because I think the move to offensive tackle showed that he has so much versatility and ability that I like to see it in players. And then the last guy on this list is a guy that's actually been on the rise. We had him much higher earlier than everybody else. Now he's in the top 10 of most boards. He's in the top 10 of our board, but he started out top 12 for us, and a lot of people had him in the 20s. Armand Membu out of Missouri. He's 21.3 years old when the season starts. Like, he's a super young player. Right now, he's not even 21 years old. He's a pro-ready build. Like, he is insane. Like, how he is filled out is just so insane to me for his age and size. He's a little bit shorter than most typical tackles, but at the same time, like he has the ability to stifle at pass rushers. He's got some of the best athleticism for the position, especially for his age. I was very surprised when I figured out how old he was. Like he can move so well, and the athleticism is very apparent. Obviously, at the combine, he ran a 4.9 140. He had a 34-inch vert. He had 9 foot 7 inch broad and 31 bench reps, which was awesome to see. He is also a very strong player because age, normally that stuff kind of comes with age, that like bench rep, those like proportionalities with your body. Like he already has that. That's why he's probably going to go in the first 10 picks. He's absolutely deserving of it, not that. And I almost took him off this all floor team because when he was thought of on this all floor team, it was when he was still getting picked in like the late teens, early 20s. But at the same time, like I didn't want to take him off because he has such a solid floor because of his like build and everything. Now it's just a little bit more iffy because he's going to get drafted much earlier than expected. So that makes me a little bit more nervous about him, I guess. But at the same time, like I expect him to be a really good football player. There's a reason we had him higher on our rankings, and everybody found out that he was, this great athlete when he went to the combine, of course. But at the same time, like he is a absolute stud, and I'm really excited about him. I think one of the biggest things is, how good he was consistently against the best competition in football. Missouri had to play some of the best edge rushers in football, and he just said, okay, went on with his business and did it. And for his age, that's an awesome thing to see. So I'm a really big fan of Armand Mimbu. That rounds out our offensive all floor team. Here's a little illustration of them at their positions. Obviously, we only did one side of the ball, but or one side of like one person at each position instead of the whole 11. But looking up there, if you had this team coming into week one, like you're pretty comfortable. Obviously, the quarterback class is down a little bit, but like every other position up here, like you're like, wow, like I'm very excited about these players, and that they're going to be good day one. So very exciting group here. I'm some of these guys, it's really hard to rank them like against their peers in like their own positions because there are so many true like ceiling players and trying to figure out who you actually want to bet on. But I'm going to bet on all of these guys to be at least multiple year pros that do a good job just staying on teams as long as injury doesn't come to them, and they're going to be they will be better than some of those high ceiling players that are just going to not make it at the NFL level. And then on the defensive side of the ball, we're going to start off with Alfred Collins. Alfred Collins is a massive human being. Let's just be honest. He's the type of player I see just being a long-time NFL player just because of, he does so well in the run game. And the run game is where you have to start when you're talking about just defensive linemen, edge players, like linebackers. Like it starts with tackling, and it starts with like playing the run and making sure you get off the field on third, get the pass rushers in the game on third down and get off the field, put teams behind the sticks and stuff like that. And that's what Alfred Collins is going to help you with. He's 90 plus percentile in height, which he was 6'5" and 5/8. He's 322 pounds, which is also 90 plus percentile. 85-inch wingspan, which is absolutely freakish. And then he had 34 and 5/8 inch arms, which is just also, he's just a massive human being. He plays multiple gaps. He takes away one side of the field from the defensive line spot, and he makes teams very uncomfortable trying to run the football. This is the kind of guy that I think every team will want. There's a very few that can do what he can do, and he's one of the best at it. So I just think, if I'm building a team, Alfred Collins is the type of player I want on my team. He just fits the types of things I want to do, and I want to stop the run. And Alfred Collins, he's damn good at that. He's damn good at stopping the run. And then you have Nias Peoples, and he is a guy out of Vautech who is kind of the opposite of Alfred Collins. He's a much smaller guy, he's 6'1.5". He's a little bit older. He's 23.9 years old when the season starts, but I love his effort. And that's something that is going to just, that jumps off the film for you when you watch him. Of course, his 4.94 40 was awesome to see. For his size, of course, it kind of, makes a little bit more sense, but he's still like a massive dude. So he was moving, absolutely moving. He had a 32.5-inch vert, which is really good to see. But what really comes off as like what he does well is he is a plus level pass rusher at a 90.3 pass rush grade. He had a 17.8% pass rush win rate. Those types of things make you, super excited about what he could do at the NFL level. Plus, you've seen him do really well at stopping the run also, even knowing he's a shorter guy. That just means he's got better leverage at times, and he does a really good job of, getting under pads, stifling centers and guards, and maybe not making the play, but helping others make the play. That's also important, and I think that's overlooked a lot of times. A lot of people like just stat watch. I played linebacker, and I always loved when I had guys in front of me that would take on double teams and hold double teams and give me an opportunity to make plays. That's what this guy does. and then he gets after the passer. So I really love both of those things from him. And I think he could, even though he's a little bit older, I think he will be in the NFL for a long time just because of his style of play. The next guy, I think, in Jack Sawyer, he's kind of like his teammate Nemeka Ibuka. Like, he is a high end edge two on any team, and he does so well at that. Like, I don't know that he's ever going to be an edge one because I don't know that his pass rush will ever get there, but I actually bet on his pass rush more. If you watched our ranking videos for the edges, I'm actually much higher on Jack Sawyer than other people because I'm betting on him as for his floor over some of the ceiling players in this class. But like his run grade, he might be one of the best run stoppers in the class. He had an 82.9 run grade by PFF, but he also had an 89.1 pass rush grade, and I think based on that number and based on his 17.6% pass rush run rate, I believe that he could really turn into a solid pass rusher opposite someone. And there's a bunch of teams that could use a guy like this, especially, think about if Cincinnati got him in the second round and he was opposite Trey Hendrickson, or if you got him to Detroit and he was opposite Aiden Hutchinson. Like, at that point, he's unlocked and he does things at a very high level already. But it's really what it comes down to, and why he's on this list is because of his run stopping and what he can do to, make teams, have to account for him in multiple different kinds of ways. And that's why he's so good. And also just his sheer, I mean, this Ohio State team had so many good players, and they're all really good at stopping the run across their defensive line. But Jack is a leader in that, and he shows up in big games. If y'all watch the semifinals of the college football playoff, he he stripped sacked Quinn Ewers and took it back for a touchdown, 90 yards, and that was basically the game winner. So he is a big time player, makes plays, and one of my favorite all four players for sure. The next up is Chris Paul Jr. out of Mississippi. He's a third team All American this last year. I love his 4.5% missed tackle rate. Anything below 6% is amazing, and so I really like to see that. He's more of a speed over power guy, so I think he can fill out a little bit and get a little bit stronger. But he's always around the football, always around the football. 7.3 tackles per game. Tackling is an absolute plus for him, and I really enjoy that part because I'm a believer that your linebackers need to be able to tackle first, and then didn't matter because he had a 78.1 coverage grade, which is one of the top coverage grades in the class for the linebacker position. So he does both really well, and there's a reason he was the third team All-American. I mean, he is a absolute stud. I'm very excited about him, and I don't exactly know where he'll go in this draft because I think that there's a wide range of outcomes. But if he does slip a little bit, he'll be a really important player to watch at the next level when a team gets their hands on him. Next guy up is Jahdae Barron, and the reason he's on this list is because of versatility. Truly, like there's no player in this class that resembles anything like Jahdae Barron. Played safety and nickel in 2023, basically. So he played slot 489 snaps and box 154 snaps, only to his 43 snaps at corner in 2023. And then this year, 679 snaps at the cornerback position. I mean, that is insane difference. Of course, we knew he was moving out there. We didn't expect him to play this well, though. I mean, he had 0 touchdowns given up and 5 interceptions. He had a 91.8 zone grade this year, and that's basically what I see him in as a zone style defense. But the fact that he's such a Swiss Army knife chess piece, he reminds me so much of Cooper DeJean last year, who I thought was one of the better players in the class, got a first round grade from us, and then fell to the Eagles in the second round. So let's not let Jahdae Barron fall this year, guys. Like, he's a absolute stud. He's going to be a mid first rounder and definitely deserving of it. He's also a very good tackler. Like, he does everything well. That's the cool part about him. I know that there's some obvious issues with his athleticism, but then he goes and runs a 4.39, I believe, at the 40, or a 4.4 flat, one of the two. I can't remember which one was the official. But he had a 9.5% missed tackle rate. Like, he's just good at everything. And so he's an exciting player, and I think that with his style of play and how he's such a Swiss Army knife, a lot of teams are going to want him, especially after they saw what Cooper DeJean did last year. they're going to try to be like, okay, look, this is what we need on our team. We're going to copycat league it is, and they're going to try to get Jahdae Barron. But the floor is absolutely there because of the tackle rate, the ability to play anything. I think teams are going to just fall in love with him. And then the next guy, Trey Amos. He actually ran a 4.4340, which I actually didn't think he was going to be that fast. So that was super helpful with my like thoughts on him and my, overall just feel for him. He played 40% of his snaps in man, and that's actually in the higher end of all these guys. Most of them play zone, and so he knows how to play it. He's when needed, and he's been in it. But I think he's more of a zone corner. 13 forced incompletions this year, which is one of the best out of all the guys that were scouted throughout our throughout this offseason. He's just consistent. He's always in a good position. He's consistent in his movements. He doesn't take bad steps. He's willing to help in run support. So I really like Trey Amos as like a guy that is probably overlooked as an all four player because there's so many issues in this cornerback class when you just look through it because of injury. You have, of course, Will Johnson who had injury. You had Siobhan Revel who had injury. You had Maxwell Hairston even had missed 5 games. So with that being said, Trey Amos was a guy that had to find his way to Ole Miss after going from Louisiana to Alabama, now Ole Miss. And I think it was the best thing for him. That defense is really solid. And he was a big reason that they were so good against in stopping the pass and stuff like that. So I'm a big fan of his, and I think that he definitely deserves to be on this team, on the all floor team. And then everybody's favorite guy, Xavier Watts, possibly one of the best 2-year sample sizes we've seen out of any of the players. 13 interceptions in 2 years, 0 touchdowns given up in those 2 years. He's just been so good consistently, and you can see his picture on the board. Like he's just been good, and we can't take that away from him. But there's some issues just with age. He's 23. He'll be 23.7 years old when the season starts. His lack of overall athleticism kind of pushes him down. But I think he's everybody's day 2 favorite player. Like if you're just talking to the normal people, and you say Xavier Watts, they're like, I want him on my team. It does not matter who you already have on your team. People want him because he has just been so good for Notre Dame in the last 2 years. He's alignment versatile, and he gave up a 30.1 passer rating this last season. That's just amazing. So he's just one of the best players in college football, but obviously there's some issues, and there's a reason he's not top 4 or top 3 probably for the safety position consistently. So, but when you just talk about floor, you're like, hey, this guy can do it, and he's been doing it. So there's no reason to think he won't continue making big plays and doing good things for his team and whoever drafts him, of course. So I completely agree with the love for Xavier Watts. He's actually, I think, one of Dustin, my co analyst during the college season, one of his favorite players coming out of this draft class. So absolute shout out to Dustin for loving Xavier Watts and talking about him as much as he did, because he's more than deserving of it, and he's 2-time All-American, just a stud. So let's go look at that defensive all-floor team. You can see on the board, I actually put Jahdae Barron at the nickel/cornerback spot because truly there's no real answer to where he should be. But you can see that if you started out with this defense, like you'd be stopping the run, that's for sure, and getting after it. And then also, you have 2 touchdowns given up in this secondary along with like 12 interceptions. So it's a very comfortable defense to be a part of. Maybe doesn't have the upside that some of the other guys have, but I love this defense if you're just talking about how good their floor could be and what they could end up being. So that is our all floor offense and defense. Tell me what y'all think, and if y'all think that someone else should have made this list, that's absolutely perfectly fine. We also, of course, we base this off of where we think they're going to get drafted in our big board, where we've been putting it all together. But we appreciate y'all hanging out with us. Please like this video, comment on this video, and subscribe to our channel. We're about to be doing our draft party. So on draft night, if you want to hang out, I know you're going to watch the draft wherever you're at, but if you want to hang out with us and, Just listen in. We're going to be talking about every pick. We're going to be talking about scenarios but prior to picks, and we're also going to be looking at how well we did mock drafting, but not just us, also everybody across the mock draft space that are the best. Daniel, your favorite Daniel Jeremiah's, Mel Kiper's, and everybody else along their lines. Just kind of comparing how we did versus them, and also how well they did. And then we'll be talking about, favorite players and things like that, and favorite fits, uh, team to player fits, of course. So y'all are more than welcome to come in there, hang out, and ask all the questions you can. We'll be answering all of them throughout the night. So we appreciate it, and we'll see y'all in the next one.